Welcome, everyone, to My Divine Light with Lance and Patty Lamons. And today we're going to be addressing the subject of God. But first, I was wondering, someone did ask me a question to ask you, and it was about a combination of words that you put together, and the combination was mind God. And they wanted to know, how does that relate to word? So in the beginning, it's okay, Lance, I think you know the quote. Okay. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. The Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. How does that relate?
Okay. Well, welcome everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you, and we're glad you found your way to this channel. Okay, so mind God. I use that term because the mind, all the accumulated thoughts and ideas since the beginning of the world is in what we call world mind or world belief. And when we're individually in agreement with that, it acts as a God. In other words, it formulates its own laws. For instance, when the world believes that this is a material world, and it will lay claim that there's material laws, and that those material laws are what applies to the world. And so it acts as a God. In other words, if you violate gravity, if you jump up in the air, it's going to pull you back down. And you're under that law, not because it's a real law, but because the mind has laid claim that it's a law. It laid claim to the fact that this is a material world, and so because we agree with it and we accept that, then it acts as a law in our individual experience. And so we're bound by it. And so often the term Lord God is used in the Bible, in the Old Testament. A lot of that has to do with this mind God, as I call it, acting as if it had the power over you. And it does have power over you as long as you keep allowing it to have power over you. And so it acts like a God. And that's where all these gods came from. And so that's what mind God is. Now, it's not a real God. It acts as a God. It's not an entity trying to overtake you, but it does overtake you when you allow it to. Just because it has the momentum of since the world began, it's accumulated all these thoughts and ideas, and it's become a belief, a world belief that's in the mind of everyone, and all the people on the earth are accepting these laws as if they were real. And so it acts as a God. And so that's why I use the term mind God. Okay? And
Thank you.
yeah, so in the beginning was the Word. That is the actual God. So we're going to talk about God today. We've talked about form, what its purpose is and how it functions. Soul, what its purpose is and how it functions. So we have the two videos, one's on form and one's on soul. And now we're going to talk about God. So we need to understand, first of all, that words, we're using human words to convey spiritual ideas. And spiritual ideas cannot be conveyed in human terms. However, we have to try because we want to get your attention so that we can tell you to go within yourself and get the truth. And so there's only one truth. There's not two truths. There's not a truth here and a truth there. There's not a truth about this thing and a truth about that thing. There's only one truth, and that truth is God, is the one life. And so all these different teachings and religions and teachers, they use different words, and a lot of them mean the same thing. In other words, one teacher might use higher reason, and then I'll use the word soul. It means the same thing. We're just using two different terms. And the reason is because when that one truth comes through the soul, it reveals its message so that that particular soul can understand what is being conveyed. And so you get these differences where Jesus says it this way, Joel Goldsmith says it another way, my teacher Herpovich said it another way, Buddha says it another way, the Vedics say it another way. There's a lot of commonalities there. So that's where you get a lot of confusion, is because of all these different revelations that came through individual souls. And each of them revealed it in their own way. And that's what I'm doing. I'm revealing it to you the way it came to me, through my consciousness, so that I could understand it. And to me, it seems very simple and very applicable to life. And so that's why I want to share it, just like Jesus wanted to share his message in his way, and Joel wanted to share it in his way, and those were good, great messages. And we just believe that the way it was revealed to me makes it a little simpler for people to understand and to actually put into practice and to actually get somewhere. Meaning towards living in the Garden of Eden, which is right here, right now. We just don't realize it. So, let's begin with understanding. With that said, just don't let words be a stumbling block. Don't get tripped up on the words. Don't worry about, oh my God, what does that word mean? Let it mean what it means to you. If it's a problem, let it go, until you can understand it the way it's meant to be understood. A lot of teachers will tell you, stick with this message. Don't follow more than one message at a time, because if you do, you're going to get confusion, because we're all using different words and a lot of it means the same thing, and so you're going to end up getting confused. And that's the only reason they tell you that. And I'm not saying you only have to follow this message. This one is a little bit more broad, and that's what we like about it, is it's a little bit more understandable, really. It brings it down to earth, so to say. And so, just keep that in mind. I just don't want you to get tripped up on words, because words can get in the way if you let them. Okay? So Next, we want to understand that God is all. There's no anything else. There's not God and creation. God is creation. There's no God and man. God is man. There's no God and heaven. God is God's heaven. And that heaven is here now. And we have misinterpreted that message, that heaven, as being mortal, as being material or physical. That is a false interpretation that we've had about God's kingdom. But God is his kingdom. So I just want to get the message across that when we talk about God, we talk about soul, we talk about form, but that's all God. It's not two different things. They're just different aspects of the one God. Okay, so in the beginning was the Word. Well, in the beginning was God, the unknowable God, the God where everything comes from, the infinite, omnipresent God who is the one being. And the Gnostics and the agnostics both had it right. They thought, well, it had to be one way or the other. But in reality, this unknowable God expresses himself as a knowable God. And we call that, now remember, we're getting into words here. We call that the knowable God or the cosmic Christ. Okay? It's like looking at the moon, and when you look at the moon, really what you're seeing is the surface of the moon. And yet you know that it represents, that surface represents the whole moon, all that it is, and it's solid and it's whole. And we understand when we say the moon that we mean the whole moon, and yet what we see, we only see the surface of the moon. And that's what we call the cosmic Christ. When we look at God in its knowable form, in its knowable state, I should say, we're only seeing the surface of it. The depths of it is within it. Okay, so you have this one infinite God expressing as the infinite knowable God. They're both infinite, omnipresent, all intelligence, all power. That cosmic Christ is like a sun shining out, and that sun has billions and trillions of rays of light that go out from it. And those rays of light, each ray is an individual expression of that one cosmic Christ, that one face of God. And it then is expressing as individual being. Those rays of light that we are expressing as individual being, which is you and me. And in that ray, in those rays that go out, each one has in it a divine individual idea of your perfect life and of my perfect life and of everyone's perfect life at every point in creation. So that when that all comes together and expresses outwardly, it fits together as the one divine plan that God envisions and is expressing this divine plan. And so God, in this individual pattern of ourselves that is perfection, there's no imperfection in this. It's the perfect pattern of you, the perfect pattern of me, in this divine light that is shining out as a ray from the one central sun, the one cosmic Christ. Okay? Now, that shines through our soul. And God created this soul, and so that divine idea of us is us as the image and likeness of God. We are created in His image and likeness. And our souls are the expression of God. And so, then the soul then expresses its image and likeness through the mind. And the mind projects that image and likeness, and then we have that experience. Now, that's all supposed to shine through us and convey and show us the one divine plan of God and have us experience it. And the soul is the co-creator with this one divine light. This divine light has this perfect plan, this perfect idea of you, this perfect pattern of you within it. And as it shines into you, it has given you all that is perfect. And that never varies. It never changes. The light is always the same. It doesn't vary. But as soon as it comes through the soul, then it's like a steady stream of electricity that all of a sudden it's a live wire, excuse me. And so it begins to fluctuate and be fluid and adaptable, and all those things are the outer expressions. And our soul, then, is the one between this inner God self, which we call my divine light, which has our perfect pattern of ourself embedded in it, which is there so that we can experience perfection, God's perfection. And it's given to us, it is given to us to have eternally. But it's infinite. That divine idea of us is infinite, just like God is infinite. And as souls, we can draw out whatever part of that we want and bring it into expression and have the experience of it. Our souls are really God's consciousness, God experiencing God, or God experiencing God's creation, which is God. So there's no division. The soul is where the division came in, where everything got divided up, only because the soul was allowing the mind to operate and project out of the mind images, which are supposed to be there for us to experience perfection, God's perfection, but instead, because we haven't been an active participant in this God life, the mind has taken control, and it's been operating as if it was a God. The mind's an outer expression of our soul. It's not a God. And it only acts as a God when our soul allows it to act that way. So, here we are. So that is God. That is God giving us everything, always, eternally, His perfection. His perfection is right here, right now. It's moving through us, just like a light shining through a window, and it is shining out there, and we can experience that whenever we want, when we clean out that mortal idea that we've been allowing to dominate us. So it's about the soul waking up to its true nature, which is God nature. We are God's. Remember Jesus, he reminded the Jews, he said, look it, haven't you read your own scripture? It says, ye are gods. So why are you worried about me saying I am the Son of God? I am the Son of God, and you are the Son of God. We are all sons of God. We are children of God. And we have the capacity to co-create with God. Now, if we try and go out there and create without God, then that's where everything gets divided, because we move away from who we are. We are God's. We're not human beings. That's just what we've been told, and we've agreed with it, and so that's what we projected through the mind, and that's what we sense with our five sense mind. But that's not the truth. The truth is we are God. Now, the soul, then, because its attention has been down in the mind, I say down in, but that's just words again. But it's just a way to convey that this mind has been dominating our experience. And now we're going to learn to turn the soul within and go within and find this divine light within us, so that we can start bringing those infinite ideas of creation out into the mind, so that the mind can project them and we can experience the Garden of Eden here, now. Now, it might not happen right away, and that's not because God is withholding it from us. God's not withholding himself. He's given it all right now. And the only reason that we don't experience right now is because we're holding on to this idea that we were born and that our mothers and fathers decided what our DNA was. That's not the truth. That's just another layer of lies. We decided what our DNA was. And yeah, we might have used some of Dad's and some of Mom's, but we made it. They didn't make it. We made it so we could have an experience. And unfortunately, because we've been on this earth since it began, and so we've created these habits of living and that we've brought with us. And that's the only reason that it seems to take time. Now, this message, these principles that we're going to convey to you are principles that will help you speed up the process. So it doesn't really have to take so long. It doesn't have to, and certainly God doesn't want it to. God wants to give you all of himself right now. And he is giving all of himself to you right now. And the only thing keeping us from it is this delusional mind that says we live in a material universe and a physical body. And that's not the truth. Because God created us in his image, we never began. There was never a point we started. We've always existed. It's a little hard to get our heads wrapped around that. There was no beginning for us, and there'll be no end. We will go on into eternity. And God's perfect idea of us will always be with us. So we'll always be an individual expression of God, each of us. And each of us will fit into God's divine plan. When we get in alignment with this inner God and let this God rule. You have a question?
I do. I was noticing
Okay.
in the book that this is the only chapter that you give two practices. Where you begin, now you can activate the God action in you. So that would be the next step after you've gone in and you've realized the innermost being, the silent God, the Spirit of God action moves outwardly through the soul. You have a practice in good action, and I don't know if you want to read that or not. Then you also have the second one, practice in breathing with God. This first few lines is very revealing.
Okay, so this is a practice, and this is something to get you involved, because really it's all about the soul going in and establishing a relationship with this divine light, which is your God presence. And once you do that, then you can start letting this God in you take action in your life. And actually both of you, your soul and your spirit God, your God presence, do this together. Okay, practice and God action. Now find a quiet spot, then go within yourself. Realize the only God in existence is the God within you. Okay? There's no God out there that's going to save you. There's no God that's going to go do favors for you. It's not going to heal anyone. It's not going to fix anyone. That's not how it operates. It just isn't how it operates. There can be healings. There can be wonderful life. But God is not our slave. He doesn't go do things for us because we want them. It doesn't work that way. So the only God there is the God within you who cooperates with you in your life. This God, which is within you, is also within each of us. That's not just true for one, it's true for everyone and everything and every place and every condition. No one in the outer scene is without the inner being. Never pray to a God who seems separate from your own being. Never pray to anything perceived as being outside of you. When you need to pray, turn inward, then seek the God within, the living and true God. When you turn within, all of existence is listening to you. When you're trying to look for a God out here or up in some heaven somewhere, or some God that's separate and apart from you, then you're actually not putting your attention with God. You're separating your attention from God. And when you do that, you end up with experiences that are up and down, good and bad, chaotic one moment, calm one moment, back and forth. In your meditations, including throughout the day, maintain the awareness God is all, who is in all. This means every activity, every condition is inhabited by God action. There's no place, we talked about this in the beginning, there's no place where God isn't there. And that means there's no place where God isn't active. God action is right here, right now, and we need to become aware of that. And we do that with our soul, not with our minds. We're withdrawing from the mind and starting to act out of the soul where our authority is. From there, we have authority. We have no authority in the mind. The mind doesn't have authority. So we need to understand that. Okay. So we recognize God is acting everywhere. If I move my arm, there's a million functions that take place. I move it, and yet this intelligence and activity in me moves my arm. I don't move it, it moves it. And that's God acting in me. And it's not that God is acting in a way, in a mortal way, it's just God is acting. And of course, it's appearing in a mortal way because of my state of consciousness, not because of God. But yet, God is still here giving me everything I need to proceed towards my ascension or towards my good. Maintain the awareness of this God action everywhere throughout the day. Do not believe seeing discord or inharmony as proof of God action not being present. There are merely images of the lower mind caused through our ignorance of how the mind operates. They are beliefs we let in from the world. Then our lower mind uses the five senses as a testimony basically against us. Trying to claim that what we see is what the truth is. They are not the truth. Only God action and God wisdom is present, and only God is the truth. Okay, so yeah, that was wonderful. Thank you, Patty. So you can see God is everywhere. His intelligence is everywhere. His activity is everywhere. And his substance is everywhere. When we see with the five sense mind, we see different things. We see trees and mountains and skies and stars and sunsets, and we think they're different. But in reality, there's only one substance below all the substances that the world claims make up our world. Those are part of the mind image, the atoms and even the smaller particles below the atoms. That's all just mind developing what it believes the world is. But below all that is one God substance. And so when we look with our five sense mind, we should understand there's only one substance. It's infinite and it's omnipresent. And it is there so that the intelligence and activity of God can form it into God's perfect idea of creation and God's perfect idea of our individual life. So God is life. God is our life. When we think of our life, we think of, oh, that's my body, that I'm here where my body is, so that must be what life is. And later we might think, oh, well, no, it's my mind, because my mind is an activity that dictates form. But that's not it either. We are not the mind. We express as mind, and we express as body, and we express as world, but that's not what we are. We stand behind those things. We are behind those things. And yet, the life, God's life, our presence is invisible. And it is moving through us and becoming form. And that is true every moment of every day. God is recreating creation. Creation didn't come from yesterday. Yesterday doesn't make today. God does. God is the cause and the source of today, and every day and every moment. It's a delusion to think that what was yesterday is what is today. That doesn't exist anymore. That is nothing more than a memory. God is life, and it is like a river moving through us, and it is a flourishing of life when we're with it. So, once we understand that life is invisible and it's the cause and the source of all that is visible. And that includes the heart and the mind. So what we want to do is we want to take the soul and learn to turn that within where God is and develop a relationship with God. And that was kind of what that practice was that Patty brought to us out of the book, You Are Divinely Made. And that is there so we can start practicing turning within. So remember, the soul is what's between God and the outer expressions. It's the place where we let God into our outer expressions. But we can't do that as long as our attention is out in the outer expressions. So we want to learn to withdraw that and turn around and look within. So we do that by closing our eyes and first reminding ourselves, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the heart. I am the living expression of God, made in the image and likeness of God, and I determine what my outward expressions are. Now that doesn't mean I sit here and draw up an architectural design and then put it into practice. No, it doesn't work that way. What it means is that we get in cooperation with God, we develop a relationship with our inner God, and then we work with Him, and we choose what is in God's mind and put that in the mind. Because it's either that or it's allowing what the world knowledge is to express. So do we want world knowledge to express, or do we want God to express in us, through us? And that's our choice. And so first, we close our eyes and understand what we are not. We're not the outer expressions. those are part of us, but they're the very thinnest layer of us, because that's us expressing. That's us having the experience. And so we're going to turn away from that momentarily. We don't want to withdraw from it entirely. We just need to get to know our inner God so that it all works together. That's all. We don't want to be a monk and go live in a cave somewhere and be an ascetic. That's not going to help us. We have to learn to live in the world and yet not be of the world. In other words, be in the world, but be a God-man in the world. Be a God-woman in the world. That's what we're here to learn to do. We're here to learn to express God and to be God in the outer forms. But first, we have to go all the way in. And so we close our eyes, we turn away from what we're not, and we look for what is. And so we just ask God, God, presence, come into my life. Be my life. Be with me. Show me the right way to live. Bring all your great qualities into my life. I know that disruption is not what I want. I know that now. I thought it was just there and then I was judging it, but now I understand I brought that in. I'm the one who allowed that to exist. And so now I don't want that anymore. And so I'm telling my God self, I don't want that no more. I don't like that. I want peace. I want joy. I want love. I want happiness. I want great relationships. I want truth. I want all that you are, God. So please, come with me. And, you know, when you establish that relationship, you'll have to work on it for a while, because it doesn't come overnight, because we're stuck in mortality. Again, it's not God's fault. God's not withholding himself from us, but he's not going to force himself on us either. We're the ones that have to go to God. We have to go there and invite God in and establish a relationship with God and get God to start functioning in our life. And he is already functioning, but now we're gonna choose the perfection of God to be our life. And that's what we're gonna bring into the mind, and we're gonna let that burn away all that old fear and anxiousness and all that stuff that's been getting in the way, or it's not really in the way, but it's covering up the truth of who we are. And so we want to burn that away so we get a clear vision of the Garden of Eden, so we can have the experience of the Garden of Eden. So anyway, you know, practice that. Get started on developing that relationship with your God. God is with you now. God is your presence. God is your life. Closer to you than anything else. Beats your heart, breathes your breath, flows your blood, does all the things that you need. And it's only your concepts that you've put on top of that that appear otherwise, that appear as a failing body, as a world that has malfunctions in it and all that stuff, and chaos and all, et cetera, et cetera. So, but when we get in alignment with God and have a relationship with God and start acting as a co-creator by saying, I don't want this anymore. I don't want those type of things. You know, I reject that now. I no longer want that. I want God's perfection. I want to know what the allness of God is. and realize that his intelligence and his activity is going to bring that about for you. You and God together create the most magnificent thing in the world. And whatever you want, God will bring it for you, but he'll bring it to you in a much better form than you could ever imagine. So that's the basics of God. That's what God is, that's what God's purpose is, and that's how God functions. So I think Patty has a question or something she would like.
I just think this would be a beautiful ending, how you write poetically a summation in the beginning of each chapter. In this one, chapter 25, I am God action. Do you want to read it? It's a perfect summation.
Okay.
That'd be wonderful.
Okay,
That'd
so
be
we'll
great.
end it this way. And, okay. O great God action, everywhere functioning, we accept your presence with your wisdom in our lives, including all life. We now only see you coming and going as we observe your perfect accomplishment of your own purpose, bringing each their final awakening with only God's will done in them, meaning no more human creations. Okay, thanks, Patty.
That was beautiful.
Okay, and we'll have many, many more of these videos. This is just the very beginning. We've laid out the very basics for you. And so with that said, we will see you in the next one. So you have a wonderful day or a wonderful evening, and
Thank you for
we'll
your time.
talk to you again soon. We're glad that you were able to spend some time with us.
See you next time.
Bye.